everybody. My name is Noah Bloom. To my right is Jason Dankner, and we are welcoming you to the BettorOff Hockey Podcast. This is our first one, and we are extremely excited to get going and to get started. And we've been waiting for this for a long time.
Exactly. So like Noah said, we're super pumped to be here. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah.
We're happy to bring some hockey content to whoever's going to be viewing this. So for today, episode 1, of course, lots has happened. The off season just ended. The season starts in, I want to say, about 18 days, just under 3 weeks. So, of course, lots to talk about. We just finished, well, we didn't just finish, but we had the Stanley Cup Playoffs. Tampa Bay went back-to-back, beat the Habs.
The miracle run of the Habs, which was
crazy,
unreal.
Unbelievable. Anyways, we'll stay off that. We'll focus on the upcoming season.
Free agency, the draft, the expansion draft. This off season has been hectic. It's been amazing, honestly, as a fan, just following. And there's so much to talk about, and we're going to try to get through all of it.
Yeah, so we have a couple big storylines to focus on because it's our first one. Of course, we could talk about stuff forever like we always do.
Yeah.
But we want to keep it, simple and just, for the first one, just keep it condensed and give you guys some actual content. So to start off, we'll probably talk about the Seattle Kraken, the expansion draft, predictions, player prop predictions. Then we'll move on to a huge topic, which is Jack Eichel, the storyline of Jack Eichel.
The whole scandal that's happened.
It's been a whole storyline all off season. But
even dating back to last year when he originally got injured.
Yeah.
And now we're just not sure about what's going to happen.
Yeah, but we'll get into details soon. And then we're going to end off this episode by kind of like a preview of the upcoming season, the Stanley Cup odds. So we're going to take a look. We'll preview those. We'll give you the favorites. We'll give you maybe a dark horse. Me and Noah will each pick. So yeah, let's get right to it. Seattle Kraken expansion draft. Yeah. You want to start us off?
I don't like what they did. That's the first things first. I think they overthought it. When Vegas did their expansion draft, I think they nailed it right on the hammer. They basically made teams give them picks to take the so worst player, and those guys actually ended up being better. For example, Shea Theodore, when they really wanted Josh Manson, and look who's the better player now. Seattle looks like they just went for the younger players, kind of saved their money and signed some like mid-tier free agents. I think Grubauer is a completely overrated goalie. I think he got overpaid. I think he was just on a good team.
I'll interrupt you quick, but because a lot of people have the same opinion as they think Seattle overthought it. They didn't take the same route as Vegas, but the truth is, if you think about it, Vegas was the one that went like the unnatural route. Seattle took who they thought was a top player from every team, keeping in mind the salary cap. Their whole goal was to take the best player available, considering the salary cap, and then saving money and going to sign guys like we saw Grubauer, like you said, $5.9 million for 6 years. Alex Wenberg, Jayden Schwartz, guys like that. And to me, I think it's an underrated strategy, and of course we'll see how it plays out. But I don't know. I think people are just underestimating how they went about it, and I think people are going to see it. They're going to shock some people.
Okay, maybe they'll shock people. So that kind of brings me to my next point is I'm looking at their division, and originally I was like, Seattle making the playoffs, like I don't think they're going to have a chance, but you look at the division and their division's it's horrible. However, everybody is rising up. They have Vegas, who I'm pretty sure that's the lock for the number 1.
For sure.
As what it seems, I think Edmonton's going to be number 2.
Yeah, they just got Hyman.
And then, I love Zach Hyman. He's a good addition. He's a workhorse. He will thrive with McDavid.
For sure.
Then left you have Seattle, Calgary, San Jose, LA, the Canucks, and the Ducks. I think the Canucks are just a disaster. They also just lost Nate Schmidt. Well, they also
season. Quinn Hughes, Elias Pettersson.
Why aren't they signed?
2 RFAs that just
the Ducks. The Ducks. They're kind of in that. I'll put them in kind of like the Senators range, where
I think they're a little higher.
Maybe they're no. I think they're in the same range, and I think they're both teams that just finished their rebuild on their way up to start winning. So maybe this could be their year.
But you look at Ottawa's division versus the Ducks division,
yes.
and it's like drastically different.
The
Ducks have a solidified goalie, John Gibson.
Love John Gibson.
He's been getting paid. He even said, he actually tweeted the other day, he's ready to win. He thinks this team's ready to compete. And in a division like this,
they can easily slide into that 3
like
spot.
You said, a team like that can easily just.
Because then there's Calgary and San Jose, and I just put Calgary. They're just a disaster. They were last season. They were a dumpster fire. They brought in Daryl Sutter, the hardworking Daryl Sutter, who was won cups with LA, and he really didn't even help them. I think Gaudreau Montana are overrated. And they have San Jose. They have the overpaid defensive core. They'll win some games. Maybe the Kings could slide in there, but I really see Seattle being as that 3rd seed.
I mean, I can't disagree. You heard what I said. I was a Seattle fan right when they did the expansion draft. Sorry,
yes, you were.
That's false. Right after they signed a couple of those big free agents.
Okay.
I mean, listen, Vegas, Edmonton, I think are locked for maybe not 1 and 2, but Vegas and Edmonton are locks. You cannot be locks with the teams like
honestly, like Edmonton, their team doesn't even look that good, but their division's so bad. I think they are a lock. And I think just McDavid could just single-handedly win games.
Like they kept their decor together. They're getting back. Adam Larson's actually on Seattle, so that I thought he was on Edmonton. That's a big one for Seattle that I actually really like.
He's a lockdown D.
He's
a very good lockdown.
And it was a good contract, $4 million.
I like that. I do like Adam Larson, but I don't like the Schwartz and the Grubauer contract.
See, I'm different about that. Since we're on the topic of players,
yeah.
So we were looking at some like player props for the upcoming season. You know, top goal scorer for the Seattle Kraken, point getter. So it just got us thinking. Like, for me, when Vegas had their draft, there was no real stars on Vegas, obviously.
Yes.
When they did the expansion draft. But there was really a few guys that just had unreal, unexpected seasons that you would have never guessed. A guy like William Karlsson scored 40 goals. That's a dark horse. So to me, a dark horse on Seattle, and viewers might be like, who the hell is this guy? He maybe has like 20 points in his career, barely played in the NHL. For me, Hayden Fleury. I compare it to Shea Theodore when he was drafted by the Vegas Golden Knights, an up-and-coming prospect, getting up there in age, not necessarily a prospect anymore, but there was so much potential. He never really got his chance in Anaheim, but there's just so much potential with Fleury. On Carolina, he wasn't treated fairly. He was like the 7th D the whole time.
Horribly treated.
Sent to Anaheim. Did pretty well, honestly.
Yes, he was solid on Anaheim. And honestly, I usually like to disagree with you, but I do like Hayden Fleury. I think he's an extremely talented player.
He's a good skater. He do everything.
Was he a top 15 pick?
Yeah, he was a first-round pick. And he was a high first-round pick.
Yes, and I think I could agree with you for that dark horse. So for my dark horse... yeah, exactly. For my dark horse, I kind of have it... I have it as Mason Appleton. So Appleton last season... says here, he played 56 games. He had 12 goals, 13 assists for 25 points. Now... And
that's on the third, fourth line?
That's on the third and fourth line minutes. So I think on Seattle, he'll be playing probably... I think he's going to play center because they don't have a lot of them. So if he does play center, it'll be that first or second line, or he'll be on the right wing. And I think he'll be putting in a lot of goals. And I think it's a dark horse. And people don't realize... People are looking at, Jayden Schwartz is going to score. Maybe Jared McCann. Maybe Wenberg. Maybe Mark Giordano. Grubauer. Nobody's really spoken about Appleton. And I think he's going to have a strong season.
And the thing is with an expansion team like the Kraken or any expansion team, the lines, there's no 1 line, 2 line, 3 line, 4 line. The lines are going to be spread out because, like we talked about, there's no top players. Everyone's going to have a chance to prove themselves.
Yes,
so
they
to start the year,
top players.
Exactly. To start the year, it's going to be fair game. Everyone's going to be playing for the ice time. And a guy like Appleton, who we know is a workhorse, skilled guy who, if he's put in the right placement on the line, center, right wing with the right guys who can score, he's going to be very good.
Yeah, and also I think, listen, the Vegas situation, I know we keep referring to it, but that's just the most recent team that's had an expansion that we've seen. And you saw guys like Jonathan Marchessault, William Karlsson, as you mentioned, Riley Smith. Those guys were they're kind of like, I'll compare them to kind of how Kale Yarncroc, who just got drafted by Seattle, where they were low-end second line, high-end third line players.
Well, Marchessault was like the year before.
He had a
good
stud year.
season.
Okay,
but
so
a guy like
Carlson and Smith
was really like a third line center, penalty killer on the Columbus Blue Jackets. And really just shot up.
And then they got their chance.
Yeah.
I kind of compare Jayden Schwartz to the James Neal. Maybe wasn't as good.
Fine.
Fleury Grubauer, I think Fleury had the edge. But listen, they are looking a bit similar to Vegas, but once again, I think they just want to be their own team, have their own identity, etc. Now, who do you think the top goal scorer is going to be?
Well, you mentioned him before,
Seattle.
actually. You mentioned him a few times. I'm going to go with Jayden Schwartz. I think he's going to be a guy who's put on the first or second line, top power play. You saw in St. Louis last year he's injured, but he's 29 years old. He had 21 points in 40 games last season, which isn't great. But years past, he's been
great.
A consistent 30 goal scorer every single year.
Yes, and also the thing is, don't forget,
every year.
St. Louis last year, it's like I know they were injured.
It was god awful.
It was awful. They had a very talented core. They had O'Reilly, they had Tarasenko, Hoffman, Schwartz, Shen. Like those are just the names that come off the top of my head. Like those guys are great, but they didn't know how to coach, manage. Jordan Kyrou, Robert Thomas.
They didn't mesh well together.
They didn't mesh well. So I think that he will maybe have a strong season, but the injuries do worry me. So with that being said, with the injuries worrying me, I say that my top goal scorer is going to be Jared Mccann. I am a big Jared Mccann guy. Sorry?
I said me too.
Oh.
I disagree.
He got traded from Florida to Pittsburgh last year. He played 43 games and he had 32 points. He was on the third line in Pittsburgh, and also expect Pittsburgh to have a big decrease this year because they lost that third line. He's coming over with his buddy, Brandon Tanev. They're probably going to play together. They'll have their chemistry.
Yeah.
I think McCann is going to be a beast. I think he's going to put goals. He's going to be quarterback in the power play. I think he'll really be a strong player. And I think this could be his breakout year.
And you saw what he did when he was put with the right guys. Yeah. You mentioned third line center, third line winger.
Yeah.
But when he got on the chance to be on that power play, like you said, he was like,
because Malkin was hurt.
Malkin was hurt. He was
always hurt.
Put in the Malkin spot, and he produced every single game. He produced, and it's nice to see a guy like that come over and get a big shot like this. And like you said, I see him doing really big things. Yeah, and I also wonder, like, if this could sound like a dumb comment, but if they start to lose and get out of the playoffs, are they just gonna tank right away and load up on prospects, or you think they're just gonna be like, let's give it another year? You know what? I think that's where the business side of things come in. You have a huge fan base. Yeah. They're pumped to see this team. Oh, yes. I don't think it's a right move on management part to tank if you have a bad start to the season. They already have some draft picks. They have young prospects. There's no need to tank. The fan base isn't gonna like that. Not gonna want that. And the management will know. The owners will know. And also, side note, the first game of the season, they played Vegas, and the odds are at 3.1 for Seattle. That's true. And I mean, listen, I'm not a big, really Seattle fan, as we said before, but their division isn't the strongest. However, they're playing the first game to a franchise. They're going to be fired up in the room. Right? I'm not quite sure if they're at home. If it's at home. At home, I think that's a lock. I would say so. Even if it's on the road, I think I would put my money there because they're going to be fired up. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Vegas is an amazing team. But when you're coming in with the hype of a new team, new players, showing the fans. You saw it with Vegas. Look, Vegas did the first game. They smoked Arizona 6-1. I do remember that, actually. I remember that. It was yesterday. And listen, and then everyone was like, oh, look at this. Then the fear was put in. I think that's just very good odds. 3-1. It's pretty damn good. It's good value. Yeah. That's the main thing. So that being said, I think we could go to the next topic now. Yeah, for sure. One of the biggest stories that I've been developing since, I would say, about last January. Trade deadline, January, February, March. Jack Eichel. Former second overall pick behind Connor McDavid. Has always been kind of looked over. Because he was in the same year. Because he was in the same year. Because he's on Buffalo. But a top player in the league who's making $10 million. He is still a top 10 player, 1,000%. Maybe 5, maybe. No. But I think he is
a lock in the top 10. He doesn't get the recognition he deserves.
Not even close.
I am very happy that he wants to get out of Buffalo, but it's a dumpster fire. He just got stripped of his captaincy. He's had this meniscus injury, if I'm incorrect.
No,
it's
a neck
injury. Sorry, that's what it was. Neck injury. And not only does he want to request a trade, but it's December coming up, January, the Olympics.
Yeah.
Jack Eichel wants to play. If he has surgery, he won't be able to play.
No chance.
So what is Buffalo like? They're ruining this guy's career.
You know what? It's sad to see a guy like this because, like you said, gets no recognition, never did, because he was second to McDavid throughout the beginning of his career. But if you go look at him, he just, every single year he produces, and I know Buffalo obviously isn't a successful team, but if they did not have Jack Eichel, they would literally have the first overall pick every single year. Yeah. Similar to what Edmonton had. And
they were god awful.
It's just sad to see a guy like Jack Eichel with that talent. Yeah. And you know what? I do think he could have went about the whole situation a little differently.
Really? I don't blame him. I don't blame him.
Because the way he requested the trade I didn't like the way he did it. And right away Buffalo kind of, tried to, of course, it's your star player. You're going to try to convince him to stay. But instantly it was request a trade, no talking, he wanted out, done. And we see that approach a lot, and it doesn't usually work out. And you see it's not working out now.
Yeah, but it was also the fact that they weren't letting him get surgery.
Yeah, that's true too.
Let the guy get surgery. What logic does that have? Because it's your captain, your leader, your best player, your number one probably jersey seller. He's making the most profit for you. Give him whatever he wants. He's I'm sorry. Understand now, different story. I'm not saying give him whatever he wants. If he's a horrible person and he complains about everything to the coach, right? Then that's a different story. Yeah. But from what we've seen, he's a good kid. He just wants to get his surgery so he can play. And now it's going to affect him on the biggest stage, I would say, of this year, the Olympics. And Americans are probably pissed off because he was going to be their second line center. As a Canadian, I'm very happy because,
for sure.
They're going to be good. But I still want to see Jack Eichel play in the Olympics.
Yeah. No, for his own sake, though.
For his own sake, he's a great, talented player. And I just don't know. With Buffalo, mad. I don't get how they were so bad because they did have the talent. But really what is it? I don't know.
But you see that a lot. I think it comes from, and honestly, I know, like I said, I'm an Eichel fan, but I think people aren't looking at the side of his leadership. He was stripped from the captaincy, maybe because he wanted out, but there was rumors and there was teammates saying stuff that had left, saying in the room he was just a liability in the room. He wasn't a good team player.
But I'm sure he's frustrated.
Yeah, he's frustrated, but I'm saying this goes back to before he even got captaincy.
Really?
There's always been some talk around Jack Eichel not being a team guy. And when your team's not good to begin with and your captain, your star player, has a confidence through the roof and isn't a team guy, it's a recipe for disaster.
Okay, so then maybe if that's what they've been saying, because I think I haven't really heard that, then maybe he should go somewhere where he won't get the captaincy, where he'll not lay low, but go to a lower end market team.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Tear it up and be the guy he can be. That being said, he has to be able to go to a team that can give the assets.
Exactly.
So a couple of teams that have been rumored that have come in mind.
Since last trade deadline,
the New York Rangers are probably number one, and the LA Kings are number two.
LA Kings, yeah.
And
I agree.
Those two, I think, if he went to New York, I think that would not a recipe for disaster.
Never
for himself and for the media. For playing. Oh my Lord! If I saw him and Panarin together, I think that would New York. That would be out of control. If I'm New York, I'm giving if they won Zibanejad and Kako won at first, I'm giving that.
No,
you think that's too much? I don't think so. I think maybe they won't give Zib, but
because you also got to keep in mind that
it's
Jack Eichel, but you were big on the whole let this guy get surgery. He hasn't gotten a surgery.
Fair enough.
What's wrong with his neck? No one knows. No one knows what's wrong with him. So what, you're going to give a first-round pick, Kako, who was a second overall pick?
Yes, he was
second overall pick.
Yeah.
He's been kind of a bust, so you say, but He's still young. Anything can happen. You put him in the right situation, could be really, really good. And Zibanejad, who's a proven first-line center.
Okay.
It's an overpay.
Okay, that's fair enough. What if they know that he's getting surgery? He'll be out, I'd say, next surgery is 4 to 6 months. They know they have him for the February, March, and playoffs. Then would you do it?
Again, I still think it's a lot considering you're giving a first-line center, a guy with crazy potential who's probably only 22, 21, not even, and a first-round pick.
I would do it.
It's a lot.
I just think
I get it's Jack Eichel, but
I think New York.
You know what? I was gonna say that.
New York.
The market.
Panarin, Eichel, faces of the franchise. They're both locked up. Lafreniere sneaking up behind them. Like
imagine a line of Lafreniere, Panarin, and Eichel.
Like I'm sure they'd want to spread it out, but like that would be unreal. And they still have guys like Chris Kreider. They still have Ryan Strome. They still have Adam Fox, the Norris winning defenseman. They still have Shesterkin. He is the like they're also going to be an underrated.
They're creeping up.
And I think they're going to
tough division, but
I think they'll take Pittsburgh spot because Pittsburgh also a lot of players, and they don't have Crosby and Malkin and for the foreseeable future.
No, you're right,
and that's the whole thing.
Yeah. Let's forget about Eichel now. We talked about Buffalo being a dumpster fire, one of the worst teams in the league. Let's talk about some of the best teams in the league upcoming season and some dark horses for the Stanley Cup. So we got a list of the odds for teams to win the Stanley Cup finals this coming season. We're going to talk about some of the favorites, what we think, and then we're each going to give a pick where you place your money for the best value type of thing. So if you want to start us off.
Yeah, so first I read the top 5 and I think I'm going to disagree with this top 5 because I'll read it out.
Read it out.
So number 1 is Colorado at 6-1. And number 2 is Tampa at 6.5-1. I think it should be flipped around.
No, regardless though.
I think Tampa's won, Colorado's.
But they're top 2.
Fair enough. 3 is Vegas.
Can't complain about that.
3 is Vegas. Yeah. That's 7-1. Now, I love Vegas and all, but I think 7-1 is a little high. I think you lose Fleury. Yeah. Like Leonard's, Robin Leonard. I know he's dealing with mental health, but like
he's still a little unproven.
Still a little shaky. I don't know. And then number 4 is Toronto at 11-1. Now, the Leafs, like, come on, like these.
But the thing with the Leafs is you saw it with the Washington Capitals, you saw it with the Tampa Bay Lightning. They're gonna break through at some point.
But man, I can't. Like, my father's a diehard Leafs fan, and you just see like the
depression,
the sadness on their face, the anger. The fan, they're just like it's like they're giving up.
Yeah,
and
there's not much hope there.
And I don't know. I don't think they're going to be that good. Number 5 is Boston at 15-1. Now I think that's a very good bet. You were saying earlier that they lost some key players.
Second line center, they lost Krejci, huge player. He's been part of that franchise forever. And you're losing Tuukka Rask. I know you're getting Linus Ullmark, who's good, unproven though. But even forget the skill side of things. Krejci and Rask, having those two guys back all the way to when you won the cup in 20. I don't even know what. The chemistry that they have with the guys, losing them in the locker room is big. So, I mean, 15-1 is nice, but I was going to say as you were reading, I wanted to let you finish, but this year I find is so much of a toss-up. There's
a lot of teams, yes.
You have Tampa, who just went back-to-back, who just lost Coleman, Gourde, Gaudreau, that whole third line. It's going to be tough for them to play playoff hockey without those guys, I'll tell you that, coming from a Tampa fan.
Okay.
And then you just got a bunch of teams that are out there to prove something because they know this year's up for grabs, and you're gonna see a hell of a hockey season.
I mean, I think a team that's really caught my eye. They caught my eye last season in the playoffs when they played Tampa. Was the Florida Panthers.
Yeah.
23-1. I think Spencer Knight's gonna be a stud. He is already very good.
Yes.
I don't think they're too happy about that Bobrovsky contract. No. Sam Bennett came over, was an absolute beast. Had played with a purpose.
Yeah, for sure.
He cared. He was going. I watched Calgary games because I actually had Jacob Markstrom in fantasy, and I would watch them and I would see Sam Bennett and I would always be like, man, this guy's not bad.
No.
Why? He was a third overall pick.
And you know what?
Obviously, he's going to be good.
When he requested a trade, and their GM said, I think it was, we want like a third or fourth.
Yeah.
Everyone laughed for no reason. And you know what? He's the one laughing now because he's locked up in a great franchise in Florida, playing in Florida, between probably Huberdeau. Unreal, good for him.
Yeah, that's what he played with last year, right? Huberdeau. And they also signed, something I know they signed was Joe Thornton this offseason.
You're missing a big one.
There's a big one they signed. What was it? I forget.
Trade.
What was the trade?
Sam Reinhardt.
They got Sam Reinhardt. That's who it was. He'll be playing with Barkov. Right, it was Sam Reinhardt for Devin Levi in the first round pick. That was a very great trade for both teams.
Unreal.
I think Reinhardt is going to tear it up with Barkov.
You saw what he did last year towards the back end of the season.
And he didn't even play with Eichel.
No, Eichel was done.
He played with him for a bit, though.
But he played... Well, Eichel was hurt, but towards the end of the season, he really put it on.
Yeah.
And he... If I'm not mistaken, I think he had 25 goals, and it was a short season. So that just puts that in perspective. Now you're going to play with two of the best players in the league, Barkov and Huberdeau.
Well, no, Huberdeau's going to be with Bennett, and he's going to be with Barkov.
He's going to be with
Barkov, one of the best passers in the league, and he is going to be feeding him. And Aaron Ekblad, can we not forget, Aaron Ekblad was having an unreal season, and he's going to come back with a vengeance, because I still think if they had him in the playoffs, it would have been a lot closer. And I just think Florida's a team to watch.
They are.
They have one of my favorite players in the NHL, little Montembeault. Little fourth line guy.
Yeah, yes.
He's a little grinder. He just gets in people's faces.
You love those guys.
I love those guys.
Every team needs one.
Yeah. Every team needs one. And that's what you need. Guys like that to win the cup. And then guys on the back end.
You're thinking about Lomberg.
Lomberg, that's his name. Sorry. Montembeault's the goalie. Exactly.
And now I know
Lomberg. Yes, Lomberg.
He's a pest out there.
I love him.
No, I love him.
That's a guy you need to win the cup. Him and Sam Bennett. Gritty guys.
Yeah.
Also someone who's very underrated on that team. Patrick Corkfist. Yeah. He still has a lot of game left. People kind of
and on the third line, playing low minutes on the power play too.
He plays straight in front of the net. People kind of wrote him off last year, but he's a stud. Someone who hasn't broken out on that team. Owen Tippett. Still a high pick.
Had a good playoff run.
Had a very good playoff run. That team is really, people should really...
They're ready. They're right at the creek. They're ready to buzz.
Really, I think at the deadline they maybe trade for a big name defenseman. I think they got to fit that Bobrovsky contract. This could sound like not a very smart comment, but kind of a good thing for them is if Bobrovsky gets hurt, throw him on the LTIR, pick up a big defenseman, pull a Tampa, pick up a big defenseman.
It's legal.
Then get to playoffs. You have everybody back. You have the money. You win the cup, and I think Florida's going to really be strong.
Yeah,
I hate to go back to that Boston point. Just something I kind of thought of.
Yeah.
Think back to that year they lost to the finals in St. Louis. So that was 2 seasons ago because it was when Patrick Maroon won his first cup.
Yes, good point.
So
yeah, you're right.
Back to back, notable guys they've lost: Zdeno Chara, Torrey Krug.
Oh, so you're on my side now, saying that.
David Krejci. And Tuukka Rask.
I'm sure there's a couple other ones.
Andre Kashe, Nick Ritchie.
Yeah. Nick Ritchie was a big piece too.
Now, I was kind of thinking about it when you were talking, and Boston, I can't believe how many guys they lost, and I don't think they're going to do that well.
But they always find a way. That's a team that will always
find a way, but
they'll make the playoffs and they'll find a way. When you have Bergeron, Pasternak, and Marchand as your first line, you'll find a way.
Okay.
Anyways.
I have a question for you.
Go on.
Sorry to interrupt.
No problem.
So, do you think, now this is something I've kind of been thinking about lately.
I'm ready.
With the Olympics being in play this year, are there going to be guys that come back the older guys whose teams are going to mildly decrease because of the fact that they're a bit tired from the playoffs, from the Olympics, excuse me.
I know what you
mean. Do you think there's going to be more injuries, or you think the Olympics will have an effect on the second half of the season?
No, I don't. The only effect I think it will have, I don't think it'll have any bad effects. I think it'll have good effects only in the sense that, say Canada wins, the guys on Team Canada are going to have confidence through the roof. They're going to come. They're going to play unreal the second half of the season. They're just that high of winning the Olympics, winning the gold medal is going to sail all the way to the playoffs. But for a team that, let's say, U.S. loses in the finals, a guy like Patrick Kane isn't going to hold that in his head.
True.
You know, I think there's only good benefits from.
Okay, a guy like Patrick Kane won't. But you think a guy like Austin Matthews, maybe not more like him, but more like a Brock Besser, you know, like a young guy like the brink guy. Like I think guys like that can be.
I don't think it could be a factor.
Can really carry over. I think it could, and I think the older guys like maybe Bergeron for Canada, Malkin for Russia, we've always seen get hurt.
Yeah.
And some older guys like even Patty Keane, like these guys are getting older.
Injuries will be a factor.
I think injuries will happen.
You can expect injuries.
In I believe it was 2014 when they were in the Olympics, or 2012. I think it was 2014 when John Tavares got hurt.
Yeah.
Like teams are gonna get pissed when one of their star players goes down. They can't do anything about it.
And it's gonna be tough. Teams are gonna want to not let people go,
but they have no choice.
No, they have
the Olympics. It's you're representing your country.
But they know that. Management knows that. Anyways, you said Florida. Let's go back. We're a little off topic. You said Florida, 23-1 odds. I'm gonna go with. So for those who don't know, I don't think I've mentioned it. I'm a diehard Tampa fan. So obviously it's been a great couple of years for me. And you know what? I find every single year after Tampa the past 2 years, after Tampa got swept by the Blue Jackets, everyone just sleeps on them. Everyone sleeps on them. They're not a playoff team. They're never going to win the cup, this, that. They don't have heart. Then you get Coleman, you get Gaudreau to pair with Gord. Your star players finally play to their potential, and you win 2 cups. What's different this year? Yes, they don't have their third line, but this is a team that they have a deep prospect pool with guys who are ready to play for a team like Tampa. And why can't they do it again? You know, and I'm not being biased because I said it this past year too. They're gonna win, but Tampa 6.5-1. Why not?
That's where you're gonna put your money.
I like it.
I think you are being a bit biased, but how do you go back to back to back?
Ask Patrick Maroon. He'll know.
Yeah, he will know. Yeah, I'll be surprised if he makes the playoffs this year.
That guy's the man.
Oh, I love Patrick Maroon.
But yeah, I mean, people just sleep on the fact that they have Kucherov, they have Point. Stamkos is decreasing, but he's still a threat.
Stamkos is so overrated.
Yes, but people are...
Kucherov, Point, Hedman, and Vasilevsky are unreal.
Sergachev creeping up. McDonough is still so underrated. Cernak, they just got... Every single layer of their game is so complete.
Yes, okay.
And they're going to get guys to replace that third line, and they're going to be just fine. And they're going to win the third cup.
Yeah.
Episode 1, I'm calling it.
Okay.
We'll come back to this.
Imagine they actually do come back. Third cup. What's it called? Third cup. I love their deep pairings, by the way. You just mentioned the Cernak, McDonough, Sergachev, Hedman. I think it's amazing. Vazzy's great. Point's great. Palat, like Killorn, Kucherov, Stamkos, like that's good. And then there's Cirelli, correct? Yes, because they lost Gord. But then who else do you have?
They got the prospects, and they have a guy like...
But who? Matthew Joseph?
Matthew Joseph.
And Patrick Maroon are on your third and fourth line. Okay, then what else?
They got prospects. They've got Taylor Raddysh.
Corey Perry was a great
sign. They also have Pierre Bellemare.
Oh, they signed him?
Great penalty killer.
Oh, he's a great face-off guy.
But they have a locker room, and that's huge. Patrick Maroon was a great addition to the locker room, and after winning 2 cups, you're so close. Nothing separating you guys.
Okay.
And again, I don't want to burst your bubble, but 6.5-1.
I mean, fair enough. But I mean, I just kind of mentioned it slightly, but that Corey Perry signing, I think, is going to pay off big.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Corey Perry's got game. Corey Perry,
saw what he did against Tampa too.
Yeah, him and Jason Spezza are both Grizzlies veterans who still have a lot of game left.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
So we're nearing the 35-minute mark.
Yeah.
Again, there's so much we could talk about.
There's RFAs.
There's so much. We could go on forever, like we always could. But we really wanted to keep it condensed and give you guys actual valuable information coming up to the season. So again, we're gonna end it off here. We've been waiting to do this. Really happy we're finally getting started. Episode 1 in the books. Any final words?
No, honestly, just watch out for my Ottawa Senators this year. They'll be better than you think.
Oh, and BettorOff sports wagering app.
Yes.
Go download. You could bet on games. We're gonna have more info on the next podcast about how to go about that.
So betting, our percentages, etc.,
all that stuff. So I think that's it for today, guys. Appreciate it for whoever's watching.
Thank you for watching.
Appreciate it.
Don't forget to subscribe.
Exactly.